What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be reacting to the most dangerous ISS mission. Now, I probably should have checked what ISS is, but I haven't checked that. So we're freeballing this today, chat. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna be reacting to today, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe, and let's get into the video.
This is the ISS, the biggest and most complex structure humanity has ever assembled in space, racing around the planet at 28,000 kilometers per hour, 400 kilometers above Earth, complete.
Okay, so it's a what's it called? Chat, help me out here. You know, let's. Oh, what's it called? Hold up, someone typed in the chat. I swear I just heard something typed in the chat. Someone typed no. Okay, it was nothing. I thought my internet disconnected again then. Okay. I don't know what it is. I know what it is, but I can't think of it. You know, what's this?
A full orbit every 90 minutes. One of the most ambitious engineering projects in history. Built by 15 nations, including the US and Russia. A transnational, cutting-edge research outpost. A fragile diplomatic island floating in a deadly void. Zero atmosphere, crushing cold and scorching radiation, and debris traveling faster than bullets. The margin of error up here is razor thin. Every system must function perfectly. Docking maneuvers are high-stakes operations. On a good day, the ISS crew monitors climate change and performs research that could change life on Earth. But on a bad day, they have to use duct tape to fix a high-voltage solar panel dangling from a robot arm in the deadly vacuum of space.
They use duct tape? Is duct tape that strong? I swear duct tape's not that strong. I don't know. Might be dumb here, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Yeah.
We have got to the point where literally.
Fuck!
This is Mark. His character is based on the experiences of actual astronauts. But we made him up to spacewalk you through a typical day aboard the ISS. Well,
Okay.
almost typical. We've spiced things up by condensing several real events into one high-stakes, action-packed day in orbit. Mark is 1 minute away from waking up, oblivious to the chaos that awaits him later. Floating in a sleeping bag strapped to the wall of his light and windowless personal cabin. The lights are off to provide some much-needed biorhythm. The station hurtles through space at 28,000 kilometers per hour. Every 45 minutes, the sun either goes up or down. That's 16 days squeezed into 24 hours. 6 a.m. sharp. Time to rise. It's Wednesday.
Is that 16 days that he's in that for? Honestly, I could never be an astronaut. I don't think most people would want to be could be an astronaut, even if they wanted to. 16 days in space, that sounds crazy. People probably spend longer than 16 days in space, but still, yeah. It's crazy.
And Mark has got 10 hours of work ahead. His first challenge is waking up in zero gravity. He pulls out his earplugs. The constant hum of fans and machines is as loud as a busy city street. Without ventilation, the CO2 exhaled by Mark would linger around his head and suffocate him in his sleep. In zero gravity, fluids are not pulled down by weight. Faces puff and noses run. Toilets rely on suction to keep certain things from floating. Most of the human deposits end up in sealed bags. They're vacuum dried, wrapped in waste capsules, and shot to space. Some of them burn up in the atmosphere like shooting stars. Make a wish. Mark wipes himself down. there are no showers up here because water is precious. Nearly all of it is recycled from sweat, breath.
Okay, that was a bit of a late pause. But, no showers for 16 days? Oh my god. You're like sweating up there in your suit. Although it's pretty cold in space. I think you would still be sweating though. I think it would be. But you would stink. You would stink like shit.
And even urine. A high-tech filtration system turns 98% of it back into drinking water, at least 6,000 liters per year. Mark uses that system to fill a drinking pouch. He gets dressed in the same clothes he's worn for days. His dirty laundry also turns into a potential shooting star.
Damn.
He doesn't need a sweater anyway. This part of the station has been facing the sun for a while, and the outer hull is scorching at 120 degrees Celsius. Inside, the thermal control system is working at full power to keep the crew from getting baked.
Another late pause. But I just needed to gather that quickly. That is crazy. Holy moly. Surely it's like... I thought it was cold in space. Oh, I thought it was cold. Shut my mouth.
The passive system relies on insulation, surface coatings, heaters, and heat pipes to balance extreme temperatures. The active system uses water and ammonia. Water-based cooling loops absorb heat loads generated by the crew and electronic equipment. The heat is transferred to heat exchangers and passed to ammonia circuits that pump it out to giant radiators, which then release it into space. The TCS keeps inside temperatures at a manageable maximum of 24 degrees Celsius. And they never go below 18, even when the ISS swings into Earth's shadow, where temperatures drop to a crushing minus 160 degrees. On the ISS,
So it can basically do the opposite. It can go from bloody scorching hot to bloody ice cold. That was cringe.
depends on remote control, from managing CO2 to circulating air. When we travel and separate from the precious processing power of our editing rig, things tend to feel just as dramatic. That's why we use AnyDesk. AnyDesk gives us fast and secure remote bring massive, latency sound and system, stability, and even fern to work with almost zero gravity. But first, breakfast. Mark has no idea how much he'll need it today. Scrambled eggs rehydrated from a plastic pouch. Coffee is a small miracle though. Mark can actually sip it from a specially designed zero-gravity cup. The liquid literally clings to the rim and climbs into his mouth via surface tension. He shares this moment with Dmitry, his coffee buddy and crewmate from Russia. Despite war, sanctions, and decades of mistrust, Russians and Americans still work on this station together. A fragile alliance held together by science, diplomacy, and caffeine. The rest of the international crew trickles in. It mostly consists of fellow Americans and Russians, but there are also Europeans, Canadians, and Japanese on board. Then comes the morning briefing. The crew discusses the daily agenda in a live feed with 5 ISS ground control centers around the world. The most pressing issue, one of the ISS solar panels is damaged. 2 tears, one nearly a meter long. The station runs entirely on solar power. Reduced input means throttled systems and possible shutdowns. Someone will have to go out and fix it.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that. Nope. I'm never doing that. I would never do that. Holy moly, if it's either bloody 120 degrees Celsius or negative 120. Are you kidding me? And then you got objects flying through space. Pretty sure that's what he said. That would be happening. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. I'm not doing that. I'm good off that.
The operation will go down as the most dangerous spacewalk in ISS history. The solar panels are live, 100 volts of raw current. The crew doesn't carry the necessary replacement parts nor proper tools. It's an extremely risky mission.
They don't even have proper tools. They don't have proper tools to... Oh my god.
US astronauts Scott Parazynski and Doug Wheelock volunteer for the job. But before the spacewalk, there's another high-stakes item on the agenda. A new Russian module is supposed to dock today, the Prishal. Normally, the crew would never schedule a module arrival and a spacewalk on the same day. But they are making an exception for our video.
Okay.
Your workflow is important to us. Please wait indefinitely.
Fuck you.
Monday.com's intuitive work management platform, you have the
2 days earlier. This is the Baikonur Cosmodrome, a launch site in the middle of the Kazakh steppe. It's operated by Russia's space agency Roscosmos. On the pad is a Soyuz 2 carrier rocket. Strapped to its top is the MS-17 spacecraft carrying the heart of the mission, the 4-ton Prishal node module. The spacecraft starts separating from the rocket at 193 kilometers altitude. The capsule begins its orbital ballet, carefully aligning itself with the ISS's trajectory.
How do they do that though? How do they perfectly get it so it attaches to the ship? Sounds...
It takes 2 full days to get close. Now, the distance is down to just 200 meters.
So they just wait.
Mark and the entire
until it's
team
close.
hold their breath, either floating in space or glued to screens on Earth.
The range is showing 100 meters.
65 meters now separating Prishal.
Range is about 30 meters. The target is towards the bottom by about 2 degrees. The crosshairs are aligned. Copy.
The docking runs on full autopilot.
Range is about 20 to 0. Copy. Continue. And we can continue monitoring the automatic approach.
Closing at a rate of 1/10 of a meter per second.
I see the target. The roll is about 30 degrees. The range is about 8 meters.
The final approach begins.
3 degrees to the left, to the bottom 1 degree. We have contact.
Contact confirmed.
Done. Prishal has locked into place. This is what the ISS looks like today. 16 pressurized modules where the crew can float around without spacesuits. The backbone holding it all together is the integrated truss structure, a linear, arranged sequence of 11 steel trusses that carries unpressurized components like the solar panels and connects them to the pressurized modules. This was the first module, Zarya, 12.6 meters long, weighing 20 tons, built in Russia. The Americans added the connecting node Unity shortly after. The first living quarters, called Zvezda, arrived in July 2000. That's when the first 3 astronauts could finally move in. It took over 40 shuttle flights and more than 20 years to put together the ISS in its current form. The
Jeez.
station roughly splits into 2 main blocks, one Russian and one American. The Europeans plugged in Columbus and the Japanese added their Kibo laboratory. But the real showstopper is Canadarm2, a 16-meter robotic arm that can grab modules, move them around, and hold astronauts during spacewalks.
Fuck that. I'm not trusting a bloody machine. Although it is built by pretty smart people, but still, you got your whole life on the line by a stick with a claw on it, like a bloody claw machine. I'm not built for that.
It can relocate itself along the station and move to wherever it's needed. The ISS features 6 research labs, 2 living quarters, and a panoramic observation cupola, plus endless connecting nodes, storage compartments, and technical systems. The interior volume is about the size of a Boeing 747. With its solar arrays fully extended, the station covers a surface area of roughly 7,000 square meters. 260,000 solar cells across 2,500 square meters constantly rotate to track the sun. Backup batteries take over whenever the station swings into Earth's shadow. Mark and the crew welcome the new module aboard. Prichal's got 6 docking ports for more modules and Russian spacecrafts to plug in later. Everything is running smoothly. Time for some science. These are mice. 15 of them. They'll never understand why they suddenly started floating, but they're part of a groundbreaking experiment. These mice were injected with special antibodies back on Earth. Mark observes how those antibodies affect their bone growth in zero gravity. Weightlessness tends to accelerate bone loss, so these are the perfect conditions to stress test potential treatments. In fact, this very experiment will directly contribute to developing Prolia, a drug used to combat osteoporosis on Earth. Next stop, plants. This little weed is Arabidopsis thaliana, also known as stale cress or mouse ear cress, an inconspicuous species on Earth, but a star up here in space. Plants usually exhibit growth responses to light and gravity, but in orbit, gravity disappears. So what happens? On Earth, roots spiral down and leaves reach up. In space, the plant goes wild, growing everywhere at once. The ISS crew is constantly conducting research, from physics experiments to biomedical studies that may one day help treat cancer or heart disease. Some of that science could change life on Earth. But now, something else demands Mark's attention. The most dangerous spacewalk in ISS history.
Look at that.
Most
back.
dangerous spacewalk.
Look at that. That's crazy. It's holding you by your legs too. So it is literally like it's a claw machine grabbing onto like a bear, like a teddy bear. Except it's a person, you're in space, and you're fixing a space thing, solar panel, with materials that aren't even meant for it, with objects that aren't even practical. It's actually
in ISS history. This is Scott Parazynski, the real astronaut behind this spacewalk. It will be the most important EVA, or extravehicular activity, of his career. His colleague Doug Wheelock will assist him from the truss.
Go
Right
on,
now
Doug.
they're inside the Quest module. That's the airlock. The pressure inside is slowly dropping to match the cosmic vacuum outside. They secure their safety tethers to make sure they won't drift off into the abyss. Then the hatch opens.
Wait. Does anyone know why? I mean, does anybody know, either in my Twitch chat or in the YouTube comments, what do you just, if you float off, what happens to you? Do you just starve to death? Or you don't get enough water or something? What happens there? Do people come after you? Or are you just left there? If you know, in the comments right now.
and they step out into space. They're heading toward the torn solar array. They have no proper tools or replacement parts. Just 5 makeshift braces they MacGyver together with aluminium stripes, wire, and duct tape. No one knows if it'll even work. The panels are still live with 100 volts of exposed current. An electric shock could be fatal. Every single metal part of Scott's suit and tools has been triple wrapped in insulating tape. And then there's the distance. The damaged panel is farther from the airlock than any ISS astronaut has ever ventured. Scott will be the first. The Canadarm is too short, so the crew added a 15-meter extension. That makes it even more difficult for Mark and his crewmate to guide the arm from the inside.
Okay. At least the arm is guided by someone. If it was just full by itself, then I would not trust it. If it's guided by someone, then maybe. But you know what? No, still I'm not going on that. No, fuck that.
Scott's boot is locked in. The arm begins its slow crawl toward the damaged solar panel. It takes some time. Scott is suspended over Earth, floating around 400 kilometers above the Amazonian rainforest. Looks like they've got nice weather down there. He feels like a tiny worm stuck to a fishing rod, strapped to a metal beam, extended into infinity. Over comms, his crewmates walk him through the list of dangers to consider, like sharp edges and the life voltage. Then he finally arrives. The tear is right there. Scott gets to work. Again, everyone is holding their breath, aboard the ISS and on the ground. They're watching Scott's every move in total silence. One by one, he slips the handmade braces through the holes in the fabric, like cufflinks pinning fragile metal into place. It works. The braces hold. The entire crew breathes a sigh of relief. The ISS has been up here for more than 25 years, and it's starting
Dang.
to show its age. The AC keeps botching and the oxygen system acts up. Sometimes air escapes and no one knows from where. By 2030, the 420-ton satellite will make its final descent into the ocean, a falling star guided back to its home planet, a planned and controlled closure to a stellar chapter of human collaboration and engineering. Mark is grateful for every minute in orbit, but he's also ready to come home, to his family, to gravity, and to a proper pizza. One that leaves crumbs everywhere.
I'm not gonna lie, chat. I don't even like pizza, so I don't even like pizza. I know. I don't like pizza. I don't like pizza. How's this space video turned into me talking about pizza?
And, of course, a long, hot shower to rinse them off. Outside, the sun sets for the 13th time today. Good night, ISS.
Good video.